SGA goes 34-7-5, while Brew was absolutely right about Chet, motivated by his addition to the Bud list, 23 and 15 rebounds. He played great with Jalen Williams out. What did the Thunder prove last night?
What they've been proving all year. They are the best team. Yeah. And I don't think I've run from that or denied that really ever since, again, not to reference the game, but ever since I saw them in person in LA, I was like, oh, I think that's the best team. Mm-hmm. Now, the best team does not always win, and it doesn't mean that I think that they even should be the favorites come the playoffs. But with respect to the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think the Thunder have had the most impressive season up to this point.
Yeah.
Even though the Cavs have a tick better record, I believe the Thunder are in the far tougher conference, or at least more complete conference. But they have the best team, and they have a guy who is having the best season. So that was again last night. To beat Boston in a game Boston needed, needed's wrong. Wanted is the better word. To be able to sweep Boston in your two-game chance, to do it without Jalen Williams, to have Chet step up like Brew talked about, just, you check a bunch of boxes. And so I do think Oklahoma City is for real. It doesn't mean that I think that this team this year is going to win 4 rounds, but it does mean the teams that they have been kind of lumped in with,
yep,
the fraudulent regular season teams that are good stories, but those teams like the Jazz with Gobert, the Hawks team I mentioned, from a decade ago, there have been a few others. I would have been shocked if those teams won the championship. I wouldn't even be that surprised if this team wins the championship, even though they're not my current pick. I'm not trying to have it both ways. That's how I feel about it.
Well, when the Celtics had that great point differential, which I also always...
You love it.
I love it in basketball. I love it in football.
Okay, again...
I'm just saying, It was a red flag for me about the Chiefs.
Uh-huh. How did it pay off? I'm just curious, for the best point differential team, the Lions. How many did that one work? I wouldn't be bringing that argument up for the Thunder because the team with the best point differential flamed out.
But go ahead. The best in football, but the best in basketball
is relevant.
Something.
I agree with you.
So here's best point per game differential. The Lakers won the championship, 71-72 Lakers. The Bucks won the championship. 96 Bulls, they were pretty good. They won the championship. And the Durant Warriors won the championship. And the Warriors, it's a little bit different because of just, pace and scoring and stuff like that. But last night, this game, they won by 6. They were up by 10 in the fourth quarter. They did the same thing to Denver. It's close, it's close, it's close. And then all of a sudden, boom, the lead is just there, and you can't catch up. SGA is able to just get stuff that you need. So the point differential is huge, and I do want to talk about the fouls, but I want you to get your reaction.
No, so listen, I think that, and last night they didn't have Jalen Williams. Obviously, Caruso's out. Here's the other thing they have going for them. Injuries are, I don't want to say inevitable, because a team or two will make it through the entire postseason whole. But
to be expected.
Exactly. More likely than not, you're going to have to deal with it. The two teams we saw last night playing are the two teams best equipped to deal with the inevitable injury. Nobody can deal with losing their best player to injury. Almost no one can deal with losing their second best player to injury. But most teams also can't deal with losing their third or fourth or, fifth best guy because they're not deep enough. The Thunder are. And so that helps them. That also, I think, leads to the point differential, because what you saw the year the Nuggets won the title, they absolutely crushed people. When Jokic was on the court, he'd get a few minutes of rest. They'd lose those few minutes. This happened with a lot of the LeBron teams, where the point differential when their stars on the court is, not necessarily historic, but double digits, amazing. But then the bench squanders some of it. They still win, but the margin's smaller. Oklahoma City crushes you when it's their starters versus your starters. Then when teams both go to the bench, their bench is better than your bench, and that's what leads to the point differential stuff. And that is an instructive number, and it was a number that You believed in with the Celtics last year, which is why it was so weird. You were so adamant the Celtics had 0%, like the rest of the league, to win the title. No, but it ended up being correct. Go ahead.
All right, so the fouls. This has been your thing, and I put this on social media. And
What'd you put on social media?
I put the eyeglass emoji. It's an unnatural shooting motion. Everyone's like, no, Jalen got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. I'm like, all right, but I just tweeted it. I didn't even respond. So then Richard Jefferson responded, it's a foul. SGA feels Jalen's hand on his body, pulls up, foul 10-10. SGA brings his left hand up to force and show the foul. Class dismissed. But luckily you had my back since we're teammates, which it then says, cook him, RJ.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your point.
It is. I know.
Okay, I don't mind the little back and forth. This is your point. Your point is.
I wouldn't have used this exact play because obviously.
But that is hunting for a foul.
Yes.
And I'm not totally against it. When Jalen Brunson does it, I kind of like it.
See, I don't like it. And I don't like it when anyone does it.
So Josh ran the numbers on SGA's career, regular season versus the playoffs, fouls drawn. And it's tough because it shrinks a little bit, but it does shrink. From 6 to 4.5 is decent. Free throw attempts go from 7 to about 5.5. And the rate goes from 41 to 33, which is decent. Yeah. So do you think he had another one later in the game that wasn't called?
Correct.
That I didn't post, but I probably should have. Because this one,
so that's the call he's not going to get.
You think?
No, but
you'll get that in pickup.
So right, but you do get it in the NBA regular season a lot. And history has to be, a bit of an indicator for the future on some stuff. And SGA is having, statistically, the best season by a guard since Kobe Bryant, except for, there's one guy, I phrased that poorly. From Kobe Bryant to now, there's only been one guard to have a season as good as SGA's right now. And it's Harden. And Harden was a brilliant player and was a 3-level scorer and did so many things well, but also was an absolute foul merchant. He was better than anyone ever at feeling that your hand is in the wrong place and abandoning whatever his offensive plan was and just turning it into, I'm getting the foul. And the other night, there's a clip that, who were the Thunder playing? Was it the Nuggets? I don't remember. But where SGA's driving, is just about to cross the free throw line and sees that the defender is a little off balance. And it basically turns towards the defender and jumps towards him and throws a shot up. No hope at all of making the shot. Just be like, I'm going to get the foul call, and he did. Historically, you don't get those in the playoffs. And that is a concern. And it is also, I'm of the belief, so that most guys get worse in the playoffs. Great players stay the same in the playoffs, and the legends get better in the playoffs. A couple of guys who got demonstrably better in the playoffs historically are Shaq and LeBron. And one of the reasons I believe for that is those guys get a playoff whistle all year. So the playoff whistle doesn't hurt them at all while it hurts everybody else. Like those guys, because of the way they are officiated, because they're so physically imposing, refs are just kind of throw their hands up at it. And then in the playoffs, it doesn't impact them. So that is honestly my biggest concern with the Thunder is Shea going to go from the guy who is having the best season of any player in the league to a guy who's producing like the 8th best player in the league, which would be awesome, but I don't think the team's good enough to win 4 rounds with Shea playing at an 8th best player in the league level. And I think it's a real concern, and I do wonder how much that's going to impact him. I looked at it last year in the playoffs. He was still awesome. It was his supporting cast that wasn't as good, but he wasn't as good last year in the regular season as he has been this year. I think it's a real concern.
Right. Meanwhile, the Celtics had a plan. Shoot threes, lots of them. 36 three-point attempts tied the record for the most attempts in a half in NBA history.
36.5 is insane.
That's a lot. The problem? a lot of them did not go in. First 40 minutes, they went 19 for 54, which was 35%, which is actually better than the Thunder usually allow. In the last 8 minutes, went 1 for 9. That's 11%, and that's when the game was tied at 98.
But it also means in the last 8 minutes, I guess all game they were shooting more than 1 a minute.
Yeah, they shot too many.
But it was tied with 8 minutes left, and then more than half their shots were threes.
Do you have an issue with the game plan?
It is very, very difficult to argue that the way the defending champion co-favorite to win the championship plays is a problem. Aesthetically, I hate it.
Yeah.
It is hard to argue it is not smart or effective because it has been smart and effective for Boston. What I would argue is this. The better you are as a team, the less variance you should want in a game. So, and I feel like the Celtics have graduated to a degree, in my eyes, as a team that should want there to be as little variance as possible. Like, do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Like, the Celtics should, in theory, want it not to be any series to be a best of 7. They should want every series to be a best of 15, and they should want the games to not be 48 minutes but 96 minutes because more we're just
want to be the house in blackjack.
Yes, exactly.
Like, we're going to win. We're just actually better.
Right. And so I find it interesting that they have leaned so hard into this, not just to where we are going to shoot the most threes in the NBA, but when I checked it before this game, the gap between the Celtics and the second highest volume three-point shooting team was bigger than the gap between the team in second and the team in 10th. Like, they are shooting so many more than everyone else and what you can't say is, well, it's, the proof's in the pudding this year, because it's not. Because I would argue the Celtics' record this year is actually probably underachieving given their talent level. And so I think I don't have an issue, but it would concern me a touch.
So what I thought was interesting, the first game, and I had Josh check my math on this.
Thank
God.
God.
You are really
I just thought math is, supposed to be gotten right.
First game, they went 9 for 46.
Yes.
46 still a decent amount of threes to shoot.
Yeah.
The Thunder are the best team defending the three. Teams shoot 33.5%. So they're the best at defending it. Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics we're going to still do it in your building. Now you come back, lost the game, shot under 20%. Do we want to have a different strategy? No.
We're going to double down on it.
So a little bit, I don't know if I'm is this an experiment for the finals? Is this stubbornness? So last night they went 20 for 63, under 32%, which means in the two games, 29 for 109, 27%. And there's points, I like the overall strategy, but there are points in the game where I become the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, where he's pointing at the television, but he's pointing at himself. I'm pointing at it yes, I like that. Tatum, was it the end of the half, Dusty, on this play? So this is Tatum, this is to get it to within 1 late. I'm yes.
Into the third quarter.
Yes, third quarter. I'm this is there. He did it against the Celtics,
Here's the thing, that's harder.
I like that.
Wildes, you still play pickup basketball.
Wow. I got beat one-on-one by
a child.
I'm old. Not child, a child to me.
Yeah. All right, but all right. So I don't know the last time you played, full court 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. What's the least taxing thing to do? Just shoot. And so
I know, but I'm
no.
Jason Tatum.
I get that, of course. What I'm saying is, I do think there is a going through the motions element for most defending champs. I think that particularly the Celtics are in a weird spot where it's all right, we are 0% to catch the 1 seed and we're 0% to fall to the 3 seed. They've been kind of locked at the 2 for a while now, and even when they're humming, everything's going right, they want to shoot threes. And I don't want to say it's easier, but it is to a degree easier than
strategy.
Say it again.
It's an odd strategy here. If you're playing against the team that is the worst, If you're playing, the Celtics were playing, and I don't have it off the top of my head, the team that is the worst at defending the three, we'd have a meeting like, you know what we should do? Let's shoot a ton of threes. Well, how about, and then to have the same strategy against the teams that is the best.
It might also be, and I say this non-judgmentally, almost a competitive arrogance. Which it doesn't matter what you're good at. We do what we do.
I buy it.
And we're the champs, so you adjust to us. What?
The Rams-Patriots Super Bowl. That's like Belichick's thing against Mike. Was it Mike Martz? Whereas
the first Rams
the very first one. It's like, I know what you want to do, and you're not going to move from it.
Right.
And we're going to throw it, and you're going to refuse to budge because you want to win your way.
So can I say one other thing that's a little unrelated to this conversation? Remember when we were talking about LeBron was talking about why do you want to be the face of the league, and we had that whole news cycle. And I said, the sweet spot for NBA players is whatever tier of player, and I used two guys as an example, Devin Booker and Jaylen Brown are. And this week is great evidence of that.
Wasn't great for my LeBron versus Jaylen Brown.
Well, I'm not even gonna throw that in your face, but since you bring it up, Jaylen Brown gets paid as well as any player in the league. So the money is the same whether you face the league or not. Jaylen Brown has an awesome game against the Mavs. Man, Jaylen Brown.
Underrated.
Shut Luka down. Who would you rather have, Jaylen Brown or Luka? I don't know. There's an argument. Jaylen Brown, total no-show in a huge game. His name wasn't mentioned once.
No.
We did 20 minutes on the game. It is the absolute sweet spot. Like, I don't know if there's a better life than being the 14th best NBA player alive. You get paid like you're the best. When you're awesome, and when you're bad, everyone just is like, hey, what's wrong with the coach or the best player on your team? That's it.
It's pretty sweet.
It's a good life.
It's kind of the spot I have on the show.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.